All right.
Cool.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So you've already listed a lot of the stuff here, so we'll like read through it, and then you can give some extra info as it's needed.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
just
level...
brain dump every time a topic comes up.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, then just jump on it. So level 249, Adele. You want to clear hard, loose, hard will in a party. Reliable for arcane gear. Transition into Tenebris bosses. Okay. And then 4-set Gollux. Music always scares me when it bumps like that. So that's what you're working on now. And how far are you into that?
So I'm just missing the earrings for Gollux. So hoping to get lucky with a drop.
Yeah, before you need to buy it.
Yeah. I have 18-star Horntail earrings prepared to transfer Hammer into that. I have 3 belts, so I've gotten lucky recently with that.
Okay.
And I have the other pieces, so I bought it with coins.
Okay.
So I just left it there. I didn't Star Force it or anything. Just dropping flames I get from bosses onto it. So roll a decent flame score 30-40 before locking that in. It's like safety flame it, right? So I'm thinking I don't like committing to big spending. So my time is quite limited in the game.
Okay.
I don't play on a consistent schedule. No kind of farmer, right? So yeah, I'll be smart with my spending. Yeah. I'm 17-star everything right now, so it's this inflection point. Watch a lot of your progression videos.
Yep.
Know most of the commands on your channel, so study the game quite a bit. It's actually enjoy studying the game even more than playing sometimes. Learning
how does this work? Going into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a calculator story, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, if you want to make sure that you are going in the right direction, yeah, you kind of have to know there's too many moving parts in this game to just... In the beginning, you can kind of wander through it, but once you realize how many moving parts there are, it's a good idea to understand how they connect with each other for sure.
Yeah, that's the part of the game I actually enjoy, which is keeping tabs on all of the parts in the systems and how they work together. And playing is just... executing on that, really.
Yeah.
To me, the doing the math and prepping for events ahead of time and looking at probabilities and all that, I enjoy the game that way. They need to play to get the funding and all that stuff. Which not a big fan of totems sitting there for 2 hours, but well, and playing smartly. Yeah.
And it sounds like even if you were a fan, maybe it's not always possible because of your schedule.
I work a pretty intensive job, 9 to 5, so it's only early mornings and evenings are usually taken up by family and all that, right? So it's hard to squeeze, dedicated blocks in. I can play 30 minutes, an hour here and there, but only on weekends I can make major pushes. So similar to a lot of your other clients, right? Sessions. I watched a lot of sessions recently. A lot of people in similar situations to me. 17-star need to burn a lot of funding. Getting to 5k Legion, aiming for 6, maybe 8 later, those common blockers.
They require that time investment. That's true, and it's definitely, if you have like a little bit of time in the day, it's easy to be like, oh, you can work a little bit on Legion, but you've got your dailies to do as well, so you need at least 2 or 3 blocks a day to be able to get through all the mandatory stuff, right?
Yep. Trying to set up bossing mules is a challenge as well.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
Summer's going to be good for that with the Terra burns. Hopefully that's at least 2 bossing mules.
Talk about that too. When we look at Legion, what I could target right for the burns. Yep.
I say up to normal Lotus Damien. You mean including those 2, right?
Including those 2.
Yeah. I always want to double check because some people are like up to. They mean everything up to that point, and then some people mean like including.
Like HMAG 4-door, right?
Yeah.
I would want to do those 2 as well, especially with the crystal changes coming.
I think the prediction is probably that the crystals all the way up until Lotus and Damien are going to stay roughly the same as they are now. I think CPAP is the only one that's probably going to go up. And then possibly the non-KMS ones, because we have no metric for that, so it's possible that those just move from 3 to 5x. But other than that, the Lotus and Damien are the the first ones I think that are going to see a significant increase. So that's probably where you want to be able to clear to basically be able to excuse the initial investment you need to make on a bossing mill.
Yep.
Yeah, nodes, hunting symbol for the bossing mills. Okay. Topics, bossing mechanics, time as investment.
Yeah, I kind of just listed it in order of priority already. The main thing is getting consistent Lucid Will clears every week, so I can work towards Arcane. Yeah, because it's still stuck on Abso gear, so transition into the weapon and then the glove, right?
Abso's not bad though, by the way, right? Especially as an Adele, you kind of get carried by your kit, so...
Yeah, I know. That doesn't beat Arcane weapon though.
Yeah,
I got really lucky with my Abso weapon. If you look at the potential lines,
there's a 3 attack.
2 lines of boss, 1 line of IED.
Oh yeah.
There, with under 200 mil in cubes. Just sitting on that forever. Yeah.
Yeah, that holds you over for a bit.
Yeah.
Wait, am I missing the weapon? Hang on.
Oh, did I miss the weapon? Or I think WSC's at the top.
Oh, I don't. Wait, am I blind? Oh, I don't see the WSC picture.
Oh no. Okay. Oh man.
Wait, you send it in Discord if you haven't.
Yeah, I'll send it in Discord.
Yep. I'll open it from there. Yeah, WC pretty important though.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're working at.
It was the first thing I clipped, and then I think I overwrote the clip. So let me log into my Dell real quick.
Maybe it snuck behind something. That's also possible.
Yeah, my WSC situation is actually quite important since
it's where a lot of the damage comes from.
Yeah. So I could snip the picture directly into Discord, right?
Yep. Yeah, I should be able to.
Okay.
And I could just do like open original or whatever.
Yeah, so there's my weapon, emblem.
Oh, line of attack, yeah. E2.
Yeah, and one of my secondaries.
Did you do like the start with the original one and then Princess No on the side kind of thing?
I have 2 Princess No's.
Princess No.
Yeah. Because I rolled so much boss.
Yeah, it's super similar to mine on my Adele as well. Am I on my Adele? No.
This very awkward situation. Actually, let me do this side by side for the 2 Princess No's I have. Yeah, because I could probably red cube very aggressively later on. But yeah, just deciding when to do that versus the other upgrades.
Yeah.
Since I have 2, Princess Knows at Legendary. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like solid and it's a lot of boss damage, but that explains the stat window where the like 320 boss when probably the familiars aren't doing anything yet. That's typically a bit higher. And your Legion wasn't at 6k yet, right? So that Legion block isn't filled out either, I'm guessing.
Exactly. I don't even have to switch my secondary when I'm mobbing, because I one-shot a BC3.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And the Galax isn't ready either, so that's like a lot of boss that's still on the way.
It's major upgrades coming. Yep.
Well, and that means a lot of... that means that the balance from the bossing damage will be shifting in priority in favor to the attack quite a bit, and that attack lines will disproportionately end up being better for you, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So do you want to go by the topics you mentioned, or do you want to go like kind of over the systems first to double check?
Let's talk about let's go in topic order. A fairly good understanding of the systems.
Okay.
Mainly some advice on Will. Since it's a fairly new boss to me and went in a couple of practice runs and just getting slaughtered.
Okay.
It's hard to practice alone. That's also the challenge.
Yeah.
They can't phase him.
Yeah, exactly.
Easily.
Yeah. I hope with the Easy Will in Destiny, that should be easier, that people can actually go through the phases. Of course, the difficulty will be... Typically in the easier bosses, what they also do is they make the hits hit less hard. So you might get a false sense of security where it's like, oh no, I can get hit by this, I'm fine. But then you go to the higher level difficulty and then you get hard punished for that. The main thing for Will is that, I mean, yeah, easy and normal is just basically just going to be practice to get into hard Will, because that's like where everything is, right? Once you have the level and the arcane power, which you have both, so that's good. Then you'll be able to do your full damage, like in one more level, but you know you're close enough. The thing is going to be that I don't know why the music was up so loud. Is that the healing, like healing fams, are very
That's
very
another
useful.
thing I'm missing, which is hard to practice alone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
they
don't
shouldn't
have
be
the
mandatory,
Explore
but
Warrior
it
link
helps.
skill either, which recovers after you hit like a low threshold of HP.
Yeah, it's
that one
pretty hard
helps,
cooldown. It can help, yeah, it can help for sure. It's one of those min-maxy ones that definitely can help you out every now and then, especially when you heal block. In phase 1, I don't know if it actually heals you in phase 2 when you're heal blocked. I'm not sure. You might have to activate Moonlight for that. So the Moonlight mechanic is number 1, right? Are you familiar with how that all works? And
I have a rough understanding of the tests and switching dimensions and all of that, but most of it is theoretical knowledge because I haven't been on any practice runs. It's through YouTube videos and watching other people do it. Yeah.
So I guess it's the first boss where the timer is pretty important. So seeing the clock and knowing the time. And then second of all, you have to manage your Moonlight. And then third, possibly more important than the Moonlight is your positioning. I think your positioning is probably the most important in this boss than in any boss. And if you watch someone who's already done a few hundred runs, it seems like a lot easier than it actually is because there's no active thought going into the positioning anymore because that's just experience. Yeah.
Right now my mental stack is too full that trying to dodge everything, those bullets that drain your Moonlight, the legs, everything.
Yeah, so those little pink things drain your Moonlight, right?
Yeah.
And then the legs is just hard, sustained damage that just keeps coming that you want to avoid as much as possible. But the main thing you want to dodge is
that laser
Will himself.
thing. Do I jump over that thing that does the 90% HP? Where he touches the glasses and the thing comes out.
Like the big tornado or whatever. Yeah. The idea for that one is basically you kind of want to treat Will as Magnus, where you always want to keep him in the middle of the map, right? You don't want to get him to the sides because that's where the poison is. For Magnus, for Will, you always want to keep him in the middle because if he does the thing with his glasses, you can just teleport behind him, or in your case, you can, if you have enough, you can use the feather flow to teleport through it. This is big enough teleport. But
can I backstep through it?
Because that counts as a teleport, right? You can also use it through the laser, right, for Lotus. So it counts as a teleport, so you could use that one. Of course, the timing is pretty it's pretty special. Or if you're at the right timing, of course, you can use either guard, which has a decently short cooldown. But you want to avoid having to use any of that, and you want to just keep him in the middle and keep an eye on him. So make sure that you have max visibility, right, with how do you put your damage and your skill transparency. And that you keep a close eye on him, and mainly in phase 1 you just always want to jump behind him. You see him facing you just like jump behind him. That's how you can start, and then once you get better, you can do other stuff, and maybe you can just because you're going to get pushed a lot, right? Maybe you can use more plummet in place or whatever, or your float. Make sure that you don't get knocked around. But in the beginning, for phase 1, there's not too much downside to him attacking you, but there is the push to the side, and then he can teleport to the side, and then there's more danger for the tornado. And that's something that everyone in the party has to be on the same line with, because otherwise, he's going to start teleporting into the corner all over the place, and it's annoying for everyone. Because what will happen is people will start using Panic Moonlight to get out of the way, and if you do that in Hard Will, using Panic Moonlight to get out of the way might make it so that you don't have Moonlight anymore to be back during the timer, and then you might die because of the activation of the test, and then the whole test is failed, and you have to wait 2 minutes, and you lose 2 minutes of your run.
Yep. Can we go through the test quickly? Just verify my understanding.
Well, we're getting
phase 1, phase 2 test.
First, the point before the test, right? To make sure that you have all your lives. So for phase 1, it's just like jump around him, keep him in the middle, and dodge as many of the other attacks as possible, of course. Attacks usually alternate, so if you stand where you just saw an attack, you should be safe for the next one. Very high sense of, very high degree of, what's the word I'm looking for? Reliability. There you go. And then activation on the test on phase 1 is a set timer. So you go in at, what is it, like 30 minutes left, and then at around 28:50 is when the first test will start. So for the first test, you only have 1 minute and 10 seconds, because that's just, the first check. And at the check, it looks for the HP bars, right? If they're both empty, then the test will start. Then you will go past. So like the start of the test is like the screen crack, right? And if there is screen crack will happen, but if there is if you're both on like the HP, then it'll also go into the kind of like the second part of the test where there's like an orb in the middle, and the people who are in the run will be divided over the 2 dimensions, and if you hit the orb in the middle, then balls will fall on the other side. Black ones will do a lot of damage, you have to avoid those, and the gold ones will create a shield in the middle, and then if you stay in that, you will survive the second screen crack.
Okay.
He will be walking around, and you can hit Will also technically, but it doesn't take any damage because his HP bar will only go to the second part of his HP bar once the whole test is completed and everyone's alive. So the main thing is that after that part of the test, you always get transported into the blue phase, which means that people who are in the purple phase have to make absolutely sure they're not hitting the ball too much. If they see any damage, sometimes have to take off their familiars, have to make sure that any residual skills are not going off. Because if you get teleported into the blue phase and there's already balls falling, those will get transferred into that next phase, and they can like instantly kill people on the spawn on that spot. So you have to make sure that as soon as you go into that part, you like that second part, you just immediately hit the middle like once or twice, and you communicate very well, like, oh, we have a gold ball, or like, I have one, we're good, and then everyone stops attacking, and then you have like another 10 to 15 seconds where you can just have completely clear clear skies that you're just waiting for it to finish. And then like after every successful test, Will might walk around a little bit, but then he'll get like kind of bound, where he's got like a red aura around him, and it'll say like, "Oh, Will's open. You can attack." It's
open,
now.
yeah.
And then you can
burst.
Exactly. Then you can burst, and then you can still like it doesn't count as a bind. Like it still has a regular bind cooldown, so you can bind him right after. So you can do a long burst right after. And then you can see the HP bars based on the different colors, and you can switch with Moonlight. But again, like you don't want to. In the beginning, it's going to be okay to switch a lot, but the further you go, the less you want to use Moonlight to switch. The better you get, the more Moonlight you will have, and then you have a little bit more wiggle room. But especially in the beginning, and when you start doing the hard boss, it's going to be mainly a matter of making sure the HP bars go in sync, right? Because if a check happens, so the check happens every 2 minutes after that, so it's around 2850, then around 2650, around 2450, around 2250. The further you go, the more it'll be offset, and it'll be delayed a little bit. So it might be like 2648, and then like 2447, and then 2245 or something like that. Sometimes there's late tests, sometimes you're just sitting there
for old server lag.
Yeah, sometimes you're just sitting there for 10 seconds like there should be tests, but they also made it so that there's a banner now, right? So it used to be that you had to have some people in blue dimension, some people in the purple dimension, and then call out where the eye was, and then switch to the one where the eye was at the same time. But now there's also a banner that shows up if you're in the other dimension, so now you have to switch less, which takes a lot of pressure off of needing to have at least someone with a lot of Moonlight to be able to double switch, or potentially double switch, or someone to single switch and then have an iframe and time that correctly. So that has made that part a little bit easier. And also if you're soloing in that second part of the first test, if you hit the thing in the middle, it'll drop balls in the same dimension as you, so you can create a shield for yourself. In the past, that wasn't the case, so you had to have like a summon.
Yeah, what's the visual cue for the screen crack?
It's like the true arachnid reflection skill. It's basically that eye will appear in the middle top of the screen.
Oh, and then I have about a few seconds before it actually cracks.
Yeah, as soon as you see that, so if you're in the same dimension, you just stay and you can call out that it's test, or you can call out purple or blue wherever you are, and then people on the other side should see the banner and then should switch over to your dimension. If you are already in the dimension where it is, and you see like Will winding up a tornado or something, it might be good to call that out. Although if people switch with Moonlight, they always have like a little bit of invincibility when they switch over, but it is possible that Will fires a tornado through the middle of the test, and that you get teleported into the right side, and then you get teleported into that second part of the test, and that the tornado is still flying and flies through people. So you want to make sure that you're topped off and that you have full HP right before you get teleported out of that first part of the test into the second part. So always like hold on the potion and then slam it right before, basically. Unless someone is calling tornado, then maybe either guard for that, right? So the more you are good in phase 1, not having to use it, and the more you have it like completely available, possibly for the second part of the test, that you don't really have to worry about. And someone's going to die randomly to a tornado every now and then. Like in the transition between a test, it happens. But the more experience everyone has, it'll be more an outlier than the norm.
Yep, got it.
And then you just repeat that 2 more times. So the main part in phase 2 is going to be having the HP bars go in sync, because if there is a test check, but he is not fully down low and you cannot trigger the actual test, then the HP bars will equalize to the highest amount. So that is something that happens in hard will a lot, where people are like, oh, we definitely have the damage, and then you blow up one side, especially on entry, right? Because you have only the minute and 10 seconds instead of 2 minutes. And then they go to the other side and have no more burst, and then maybe the bind misses and will teleports all over the place constantly, and it's really hard to confirm damage on him if he's not bound. And then he basically just heals 80%, and then not only is he almost full HP again, everyone's cooldowns are down, so maybe the next test you can't even hit it either. So you have to do like 3 tests for the first bar. So sometimes it might be better to just on the first one just go in easy, just ease it up. And then for the second part, just finish it off. And then for the third one, try to full burst and see if you can do that in one time. So like a 2-1-2 basically, where you take 2 tests for the first one, single burst the HP bars on the second part of the test, and then take 2 again for the third, because your cooldowns are down. And even though they might be up by the second test, you still don't want to use them, because you want to have them all up by phase 2, because you want to get out of phase 2 as fast as possible. Because phase 2 is where it gets interesting. There is a decent amount of time between the final test of phase 1 and phase 2 if you want to charge your domain there when you have a Kana. That's going to be a good part to do it. And then you can get into phase 2 completely pre-charged. And if you have skills, especially if you have skills that consume a lot of HP, you want to pop them right before you get into phase 2, because during phase 2, that's when the heal block phase happens, right? So that's where the Moonlight is really important, and where dodging as many attacks as possible is even more important, especially in the beginning of the phase 2, and a long Kana bind is very, very helpful there. And any kind of iframes you have are very helpful there, just to make sure that you can build up your Moonlight in the beginning of phase 2 to start that healing process. Of course, healing familiars super, super helpful there, but the main thing for phase 2 is going to be essentially, when it comes to positioning, the same as in phase 1, that you want him to be in the middle of the map. Because he's going to start pushing all around, and sometimes his mirror form attacks the other way than he's facing. So he might be attacking either way, basically, and it's kind of hard. If you figure out the attack interval, you can actually up jump over his attacks most of the time, and I find that to be like the more safe way to do it. But you want to, again, stay in the middle, because there's webs that spawn in the corner, right? You've seen them in videos, probably.
Yep.
The first time, if you haven't seen them before, like you miss them all the time and you walk into them, because they're like way in the bottom of the map and it doesn't look like they're dangerous, but if you walk over the top, you still take, in Hardwell, you take 100% damage, so that's a yikes. People with Dark Side can walk through them. If you have a Shadower and they put down Smokescreen, you can walk through them. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think the BAM shield also allows you to walk through them. And so the second one has the same timer, like the 2 minutes in between tests, but has no set starting timer, because there's no set time that you could get into phase 2, kind of, because there's flexible tests in phase 1, right? Or how many you have to do. So basically for phase 2, it's all about as soon as you get the HP down, the first test will immediately start, and then it saves that time on a 2-minute check from then on out for that specific run. So it's important that when the first test starts, that you have someone who someone who remembers like what time it is, because you will fail tests, especially in the beginning in phase 2. And then the problem is like, so most tests people go all the way to the left corner, and then you look at the middle of the map, and then you see if there's a crack in the map or not. If there's not a crack, you just keep hugging the corner, because basically if there's no crack, you have to dodge the legs that come up. But if you just hug the corner, you automatically dodge all of them. You don't get hit. And if you see the crack, you have to get hit by 3 legs in a row. And the easiest thing is to start from the left side of the screen and just walk slightly over to the right, and you will see a particle of where the leg is going to show up, like all the legs have thus far. and then you stand in that particle, you wait for the leg to hit, and then you move to the next particle to your right, and then you're basically just moving 1, 2, 3, and then you move back to the left. But keep an eye on the middle of the map. What'll happen a lot is that if you have back-to-back cracks, is that people will like panic jump back to the left, because they want to make sure they don't get hit by the next one. But then they go too far to the left, and they can't make it back in time to the right to get there. What's still going to be an issue for a little bit is for some classes to have knockback resistance, because if you do get hit, it's not a one-shot, so you can still make it to the next one, but if you get hit, you get knocked back in the complete opposite direction, and you might lose your flow and be too far away and then get hit by the second one as a result. And then that will, again, failure, one person dies, the whole test fails, lose 2 minutes kind of deal again.
Yep.
So what's important that if you do fail, that you don't panic and that you remember the timer. The test should take around 20 seconds, so you can also add like 140 1 minute 42 like when you're done, and that's around when the next test is going to be. It's important because the webs can spawn and then the test can start after the webs, and the webs will continue their spawn rotation. They won't despawn. So if people are like hugging the left corner because they know the test is going to be, then a web spawns to the right. Not all a lot of classes can get through that properly. Like you could feather float, I think. You can basically there's like jump ether guard, but it's really close to the corner, so even just like turning around to face getting through the web, if you do that a little bit too far, you might already like walk into it and die from that damage. So it's good to know the timing so that you don't like, by trying to be safe, you're actually more unsafe, and you might have to do the test to the being to the right side of the web instead of to the left side.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want to try that, I don't know if you found it already, but I think I have.
There's a simulator or something.
Yeah, a little sim. Have you found that one?
I saw it on one of your prior progression sessions, but
yeah, there's a few of them here. There's a leg. I think this one is just in general for phase 2, just to try to not get hit by the legs. And then there's one for phase 3 for like timing your jump, and then there's one for phase 2 to do the actual test. It's basically just a recording. I think there's multiple versions of this, but it's basically a recording of a test, and you have a little character that you can move around, and you can see like the particles, and you can see, and just in phase 1 as well, like during the test, Will is going to be walking around, and you can technically hit him, but he's not going to be doing anything, because that would be crazy if he was also doing stuff at the same time. Yeah, this is phase 3. I think this is phase 2 test, but oh, it's loading. Loading sounds. It's okay. I have you muted anyway. You don't need to load sounds. Do it. Okay. This is test. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is just in general phase 2. Cause it's just gonna be random legs, and you just want to be able to dodge them. So just to get a sense of like the interval of how quickly they hit and how long you have to move out of the way. And it is one of those things as well where you can stand in the middle of 2 legs and get hit by 2 at the same time. And if that happens, that is going to tank your HP. And especially if you don't have healing fams and have, you have no moonlight in the beginning. For normal, you're going to have decent moonlight, but for hard, the moonlight recovery is going to be terrible. Getting hit by like 2 legs at the same time in the beginning is very, very rough, because you won't be able to just burst down hard Will. He'll get unbound. He'll start dashing around. And then the positioning is important. So if Will is in the middle, you want to be in the middle on top of him, because if you get pushed, you'll get pushed to the side, but not to where the web is. But let's say that Will is like around here, then you can just stand to his left right there, right? But if he's in the middle and you stand like right here, the push will be far enough to get you into the web. Now, if you're jumping or something, it's possible that you just get flung all the way to the corner at like breakneck speed, and you basically just fly through the web because of hit invulnerability, and then you just stay in the corner and wait for the web to go by. But if you get pushed, you also get inverted. So if you get
does feather float have a knockback resistance, or
I think your float, I know plummet does, like knockdown resistance, right?
Yeah.
Feather float might, if you time it like perfectly, kind of like if you use a dash into Hard Magnus's blue slash. If you time it perfectly, you don't get knocked back, right? You get like, you kind of get stunned when you end the skill, but you don't get knocked around. And so this one is like the test practice. So you're basically walking around. So you see that there's crack. So you want to move to the left. So the first one is around here. You see the particle. You keep moving. Stand where the particle is. Oh.
So timing.
Yeah, now you see no. So you can do it on this side as well, right? Or you could do it like in the middle of the map, technically, if you wanted to. But I don't know where like the spawn locations over here. Okay, there's one here apparently, and then one here. Oh, well, the map isn't full, so. So like,
okay,
there are like a lot of options that you could do, but the safest one is usually like hug the corner. See, because the legs will be there, and then one more to the left. But like they won't really hit you. You have to make sure you absolutely hug the corner though, because if you're a little bit out of the corner, one of the legs will hit you. But again, it shouldn't be a one shot.
Okay.
Oh, you see, now you see there's a web. Oh, I have to dodge that one. And then they alternate as well, right? So if you go where the leg was, then you're not going to get hit by the next one. Pretty much. It's not 100%, but like that's what the test looks like. And now you're already here, so you don't have to jump around. So he was a little bit late. You saw that, like he got hit. He was a little bit too far to the right. And the patterns aren't exactly the same all the time either. As now you see, the crack is not super clear to see here. It's a little bit clearer in game. So if you can see it here, then you can definitely see it in the game. But some people,
correct. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's a delay slightly on your screen.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
Score, right? So yeah.
You don't see the crack? Come on, bro. It's like not even there yet on my screen. Yeah. Yeah, so you could use that to play around with a little bit. But the main thing is, I think this is maybe delayed a little bit, but to get a feel for like the rhythm of like how quickly do the attacks come out and how many are there and how fast do you have to move to the side and stuff like that. So it'll that might
it's like
help a bit.
Practicing for CVAL at the beginning, right? Knowing
yeah,
when the visual cue hits and when the rock actually drops, and then it pops out of.
And if you see like a rock and the green stuff at the same time, the rock's gonna drop first because the green one has like a longer delay, right? But then the green stuff is also like if you stand in the middle, you get hit by two at once, and you might actually get one shot. So the positioning there is more important, and just playing around with that a little bit. And that's what, I would like if there were test modes for the different phases. But I guess them adding a lower difficulty gives way more access to people to being able to solo as well, and then doing it that way. And then you really have to earn those phases.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
All right. And for phase 3, there's dodging those spider attacks, right? The practice tool, and then.
Yeah. So there's two. I'll do alternate. Some people call it like white eyes and. I think yellow eyes or something.
Yellow, yeah.
Yeah, I like to not do that because it's hard to see. Okay, I fucked up that. There you go. Spacebar is a jump. I like to look more as a positioning. So basically, you'll see there'll be like HP bar on the top, right? Like, if he basically goes behind the HP bar, then you have to move around, and then for the other one, you have to stay still, basically. Because you have like regular attacks that kind of look like the stay one, like this one, but it's just significantly smaller. It's like half the size. So these are pretty. These are just the stay. But sometimes, see, as long as you see the difference in his size, right? Like so, the other one he like lunges back more, and then this one he goes really high up. So he'll be touching the top of the map basically. So I look more at his physical shape than I look at what the color of his eyes are.
Oh, I see. Yeah. When you can see the eye clearly it's already half a second in. And
yeah, and it might be covered in damage, right? It might be covered in sprites and skills and damage. So by the time you see it, you might already be too late. Plus, when he goes all the way up, you can't really see his eyes because it's like covered with spider legs. So if you can see the eyes, you know that you can stay basically. And if he goes way up into the map, then you have to move. So you will see when they do the attack, you will see a spider leg appear right as they attack, right?
Well, how big is the hitbox?
It's the entire map. It's the entire map. So you have to be moving with a movement skill when that leg strikes, or you have to be still when that leg strikes. And it's just going to be like a single check during that thing. And then just like, oh, you were moving and you're supposed to be still, boom, you take massive damage. Or you were still when you were supposed to be moving, boom, you take massive damage.
Okay. Got it.
So you're a flash jump class, so the move is actually pretty easy. You could just like flash jump twice. It's like, okay, well I got hit there, but like it's a pretty narrow window, so it's almost it's very easy to, if you just flash jumping around like a lunatic, you should be fine. But then during the stay, of course, you want to make sure you stay still. But of course, he will alternate right during the boss fight with attacks again, with pushes. And the main thing for phase 3 is that webs will grow in the side of the map. And if he pushes you into those, you will get hard sealed, and you will, and then you can't use skills. And if the next one is a move, then you can't use skills, then you can't use a movement skill, and then you die to that, right? So that's kind of like his combo. So the main thing is to use Moonlight to clear webs. When you activate Moonlight, you can walk through the webs, you won't take damage from them, and you can clear up to 2 webs per Moonlight. So if everyone in the run does that, then you're fine, and you can keep the map clear. Make sure that every time, usually after a move, you use the move to like flash jump into the corner, and then clear the sides, and then go back to the middle, so that you don't get if you get knocked back, you don't get sealed, kind of thing like that. And I was gonna say there's one. Oh yeah, and then the other thing that happens is poison. He'll poison people temporarily, and then they'll deal extra damage to him, but they'll also deal damage to surrounding people. The best tactic is usually just say, like, if you see poison, just call out poison, and the person who's poisoned just stands still, and everyone else just moves away, and then you should be fine.
Yep.
If you notice that you're not getting aggro, then you can basically just stay on the same side of him, because he'll just not attack you. He will attack the side that he's facing, and if more people are drawing aggro to one side, and you're on the other side, then you can safely just stay on the same side and just wail at him. But just make sure that you keep trying to clear the corner for webs, so that if people get pushed around, that you don't, you help them not get sealed, and then you help them not get killed. So basically, the whole idea of the boss is like a cascade of failure, right? If in phase 1, few people lose lives, in phase 2, the blocked healing. If people die out, then you have fewer people cleansing in phase 3, you have more people tending to get sealed, dying to the move, and then more people die out, and then that's how he wins, basically, right?
Do you have to flash jump to consider moving, or can you
No,
walk?
you could also rush. You could also, what's the rush again? Resonance, right? You can use a resonance rush.
Impale resonance rush.
Yeah, exactly. You could use, I don't know if plummet works, like up jumping and plummeting down. Maybe that works. I haven't tested that one. You could feather float, but those all have narrower windows, right? You land faster. So flash jump is typically it's the easiest one to do, and it's the safest one to do.
Okay. All right. No, these practice tools are amazing.
Yeah, these are quite nice, because you can see the animation very clearly as well. In the boss fight, there's going to be a lot going on, so it's going to be more of a clusterfuck. But it's good to see the difference in the animations and stuff here, yeah. Don't you have to a little to move when you need to stay? Well, stay is just don't actively use a movement skill, and move is actively use a movement skill. Sometimes people get confused because they'll be like move and then they'll just walk, and that's not enough. I don't know if Jet can, but I think Hayato's can walk fast enough to be counted as a move, and they can just move with the Shinsoku and just keep attacking and not get hit by it. It basically has to do with like there's a hit scan, right? And if you move enough. If you use like enough skill to move out of the way, then you don't get hit by that hit scan of that skill. So there's like a certain speed threshold that you have to meet, but usually movement skills are the only things that can actively do that. But yeah, I guess Hayato kind of skirts the line there.
Okay, got it. Yeah, your stream has about a 5-second lag versus the audio.
Yeah, that's the low. That's the low. That's the low delay. The long one is usually like around 20, I think. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think I'm good for Will. Yeah. Lucid, if I get the right party, I could do hard. Yeah, but sometimes I just settle for normal if I can't get someone really strong. But still looking for a permanent party. Trying to form one in the guild, but it's a lot of work to set up bossing parties.
Yeah, it's easier also to take a few people from guild, a few people from a Discord, a few people from a Smega or something, just to get started. And then as you're more established, it'll become easier to find fills and stuff for people's secondary characters.
What I do is on the weekly bossing reset, I just sit on a channel and on the map and then try and get a few friends, get a few fills, and then, that's usually enough for normal, but for hard,
takes a bit more organizing.
Yeah, because all the strong people have established permanent parties already.
Yeah, or it's their second or third character and they have more connections, so they don't need to do the pickup groups.
Exchange carries.
Yeah. Well, they're changing it in Korea now, right? They've changed it to the bossing UI, where you actually just have you can just set up a party and people can see the parties and sign up for them, and you can set the requirements of the party.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be way easier because on distance people can already see like, is there a party, or they can just start a party from distance and then see like, oh, there's a, like, and I'm just gonna train or do some dailies, and then they can see like, oh, 4 or 5 people signed up, let's go do the boss, you know.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah.
Does it automatically check for the minimum requirements, or it's more of an honor system?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't remember exactly how that point works. I mean, you can ask like.
Some people
experience.
say 25k, 30k stat, but then it's still a proxy because your ID can be really bad. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I have the progression grid, so you have all the metrics in place. But yeah, that's very true. People can just spend a lot of money on cubes and get the get the minimum requirements, but then have no idea what the boss is like or something else like that, and then end up, still inting your run. That definitely happens.
Do you know when that update's gonna drop for GMS?
With the boss UI, that's definitely after
UI.
Destiny somewhere, yeah. So that might be part of like the end of the summer, but it'd probably be like the first update after the summer, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to that because then hopefully be Tenebra's boss ready by then.
yeah, it's setting up those. Yeah. The further you go, the harder it is, the more insulated it is for those parties, right?
Yep. And all the top players have their own little circle, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I try to have like an open forum with the stream, but it's a hit or miss, right?
It's hard, especially with me. I'm not a hardcore consistent schedule player.
Yeah, it makes it even harder. Yeah. And leading parties is also just in general a fucking nightmare because you'll have like just people randomly not showing up, people being like 5 seconds before the run, like, oh, sorry, I can't make it, guys. It's like, okay.
Yeah, if I'm playing a game, I don't want to feel like I'm back at work, right?
Yeah.
Get people to work together. Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was like you either fucking make it or you get a fill. Like that was generally how you do things. But now it's more like, oh, sorry, I can't make it, guys. Good luck. And it's like, I mean, to be fair, a lot of times those parties with those big of parties, in general, they're kind of able to lose a member and probably still clear. But you can't really like put that pressure on the party and be like, oh, you guys should be able to clear anyway, right? Like people have that party composition because they want to clear like that, not because they want to clear with one fewer.
Yeah, they don't want to struggle. Or if someone gambles on a flame or something like that, and then they drop some stat thinking they have a 6-man. But then they can't clear anymore, right? Red cube gambling,
Yeah. Oh, they use dojo floors in KMS. Yeah, dojo floors were and Legion were added in as stats in KMS recently as well. So if you click someone, you can see their Legion, you can see their dojo clear floor. Yeah.
Those should be easier to check requirements, right?
It's a bit better of a metric. Yeah. It's again not perfect because it does favor DPM classes over DPS classes when we're bursting, especially in GMS. We tend to favor burst classes because of domain, of course. But it is a better metric overall than just stat, of course. But in general, like the higher you go, the more predictive stat does become, right? Because you're not gonna have someone running around with 60k stat but with 20 IED. That wouldn't really make any fucking sense.
No, never.
They have no idea how the game works.
Same with the mechanics. Yeah, if they're level 270 getting Black Mage ready, then you can, they know how to do well, right?
Yeah, it should be able to.
They're walking around with arcanes and backup arcane weapons going for 22 stars, and they cleared 100 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for the Tenebra's bosses, did you need some starting help with that?
Yeah. I look at your commands, and then there's a video in there and everything. I haven't tried out the bosses yet, so maybe just some starter tips.
Sure.
We can probably move on to the gear and everything else.
Yep. Tenebris is where you definitely want to start using your will skill. So not the eye, but the hero's will or Flora's will, and possibly also Urda's will, because you will start like CC as in like crowd control will start getting really, really annoying, and either preemptively using it to not get crowd controlled or using it reactionarily to get out of stuff is going to be necessary and is going to save your life several times. Even on that long ass cooldown they have, it will be worth to start like leveling Urda's will and everything. and to have it in a high level slot to be able to rely on it. The further you go, the more important it'll get. I guess
Should I buy slots when I hit around 250, 255? Since I don't know if there's enough space on the V matrix.
Let me check out your V matrix, see where it's at.
I have the perfect trios already, but I have an extra boost node in there because they're not perfectly leveled.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, they're
but
pretty
I can
close
remove
to
it.
perfectly leveled.
Yeah, they're very close already.
Yeah. Let me see. I guess the first one. Yeah, your Goddess Blessing is going to be very big for your bursts. And then people, yeah, and then I guess you will throw in like right after that probably like Conversion Overdrive. Yep. But you could I guess switch to Conversion Overdrive with the will skill if you need it.
Right now, yeah, I take out Holy Symbol, I take out Storm, and then a boss that I put in the what do you call it, the one where they convert your magic stack. Yeah. So I have one flex slot, either some utility. Right? Trying to hit 250 pretty soon with the potion.
Sure.
I just grab the potion, hit 250, and then I don't know if it's worth pushing 255 and then buying a couple slots.
Depends on how long you plan, or how quickly you plan to level, and if you're just actively still playing, then don't think it's necessary. I bought one at like 270. Just for like the will stuff and being able to use blink and the will skill and all of the burst skills, you know. And it seemed to make sense because then compared to now, you're trying to use like decent combat orders. You're using Impenetrable Skin, Goddess Blessing, Conversion Overdrive, will skill, and blink. Like you're trying to use all those extra. But unless you're doing Black Mage, I don't think you need to do all of them. It will be very useful if you're doing like Chaos Gloom, for example, to have both blink and the will skill and like all of your burst stuff. But for the normal one, maybe you can do without the will skill, but just have blink. Like one or the other is probably good enough. Because the dark, so you basically have a darkness meter. It goes up gradually, but every time you get hit by something, it goes up faster. So the more you dodge, the better for you, and the slower you can go. Sometimes people will actively try to get hit because there's also like an opening. So Gloom is just like a giant floating butthole, right? And then every now and then there's like specific intervals when he will summon like giant cross tentacles, and then you can he opens up basically, and then you can do way more damage to him. I think standard is like 90% damage reduction or something, and then when he's open you do full damage. There's 3 types of balls that fall from the ceiling. They're not like in Lotus, but they're like in Magnus, right? There's a little bit of a glow sometimes that you can see, but it's pretty hard until you're like very high up. One of them blinds you, so all of the attacks miss. One of them seals you, so all of your attacks don't do damage, and you can't use any more skills. And one of them zombifies you, so your healing is down. The Zombify one is really not, that one doesn't really matter. The Zombify and the Seal one look very similar though. They're very close in color, in the color spectrum. So the changes in, I think it's in Destiny. Yeah, in Destiny they changed them to give them a symbol on the ball, so it's easier to, one is like a cross, one is a horizontal slit, and one is a vertical slit. So it's easier to see which one is which. So you can kind of, glean if you really need to move out of the way, or if you could just tank one. But the main thing is, like, for example, if you have burst on if you're bursting, or like your ruin is flying out, right, and is doing a lot of damage, and you see that you're going to get hit by like a blind ball or like a seal ball, you can use your will skill there to make sure that you don't get blinded or sealed, so that all the damage of the ruin goes through. Otherwise, it's just all going to miss, right? Even after you fired it. So that's kind of why that skill becomes important. And it definitely becomes important once you do the harder version of the boss, because once the blindness meter fills up, you basically will just get blinded. So you get like a circle around you that you can see, and everything else becomes invisible. And then the regular tentacles that come in and do a lot of damage will hit you. And there'll be monsters flying around that seal you, invert you, do all kinds of annoying stuff. And killing the monsters lowers the bar again. So when you're dead, it just pauses. It doesn't go like actively down. You have to be alive and killing monsters. And if you kill enough, then the bar goes down. And there's like an added mechanic in the hard version of the boss, where if you get the bar all the way down without dying, then you have like a cleansing animation, and the people who are around you will get their darkness bar removed. So it'll be tough because you'll basically have to have your team make callouts for you on where the attacks are and what you have to dodge, right? Because like the blue balls, sorry, they don't seal you. Sorry, they stun you, which is worse, right? Because you'll get locked in place, and then other attacks will all hit you. There's like tornadoes from the ground. There's the legs, like the smaller legs that hit you every now and then from Gloom. And then there's the really big ones that summon that he opens up, but those do 100% damage. So those you definitely have to dodge. And then there's the animals flying around at the same time, doing all kind of shit to you. And if you're in the hard mode, there's also grasping hands on the bottom that will grab you, that will have you do like the left-right arrow tapping thing to get out of it. Plus you take a lot of damage, so your teammates might have to heal you. So it's very easy to die in that test, and if you do, then you're not cleansing your teammates, which makes it harder for them to stay out of darkness. And yeah. And then there's additional openings at certain HP intervals. I believe at like 25, 50, 75%, something like that. You can open as well. So if you do enough damage and you know the mechanics and you have enough people, then you can make it so that you do enough damage. After one opening, he opens up again. Maybe your domain is still running, right? You can get like a second part of your burst in. As long as you make sure you don't get sealed or stunned during the burst, you can commit all your damage. If everyone else is still... and then sometimes you can stagger to the darkness. Someone can be like, okay, I'm going to get hit extra, so I'm in darkness now. So everyone else is not in darkness, so people can help you and do call-outs so they can still see what's going on, right? And then sometimes going into darkness earlier might be a useful thing if you're in an experienced party. But if you're not experienced, you just want to have as little darkness as possible. Or have certain cooldowns that can help you, right? Maybe... use your iframes, or make sure that your will skills are up and stuff like that, so you have all of the tools available. One way to get out of darkness a lot, especially if you like go into darkness right as he's open, because after he's opened he will summon like a giant laser beam in the middle that does a ton of damage, and you have to stay in the corners to dodge it, and it like sucks you in, so you have to like walk to the corner. But
yeah,
what happens?
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, it just keeps coming, right?
What are the requirements before I could start getting in a normal Gloom party?
So
I can work towards that goal. Yeah. Plus learn the mechanics.
I think solo normal Gloom is around the same as solo Hard Lotus. So party would be around the same as party Hard Lotus. So you can use that as like a benchmark. See where you need to be.
Okay.
So usually around 250, 255 is when people start doing normal. And then maybe you can solo like a long run, or you can do like a 3 or 4 man for like a decent run. I think like around 245 is probably when people can do like a full 6 man, but you have to kind of know what you're doing, and your character can't be like just power leveled up and be like a 245 in number only,
Yeah, are my stats getting close? If you scroll up to my stat window.
You were 30 plus, right?
I have 30k, yeah.
Yeah. I think with a whole party of 30, like with a 6-man party of 30k, isn't Gloom 250 required? I always forget with those bosses. I don't know exactly what your...
I'm leaning towards lower end. It looks like
maybe 250.
Minimum, yeah.
What is it going?
I'll hit 250. Yeah.
Versailles is 250. I always forget the levels because they kind of don't make sense up there, because like Darknell is like 260 or 265 even. It's all like one big jumble to me. Let's see. No, it says 245 to 300, right? Yeah. And then Versailles is 250, and then 255. But he is level 265. Sometimes it doesn't really help to know what level you can be to enter. It's more important to know what level the boss is, because it's like Will is 235 entry, but you go in at 235, you do fuck all for damage. So, but yeah, you can start doing. Yeah, so I think once you start thinking about doing Hard Lotus parties, then thinking about doing Gloom parties around the same time is what you can do. The only difference will be the level, so you will be losing damage on the level of Gloom, and you won't be on Lotus. But if you're eventually trying to do Black Mage and stuff, it's like, the better you start gathering sparks, the better. The earlier you start gathering sparks, the better. Although the pressure off of it is decently going to be taken off of sparks with the Destiny update, because of the practice mode for Black Mage that they're adding.
Okay. Yeah, I sometimes skip my spark dailies.
I've never done those ever, so you're totally fine.
Okay. Unless it overlaps with VC3.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
turn
yeah,
it
then
in.
you do them. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
would you get 3 sparks a day?
I don't know. I think it's 1 if I turn it. I'm only at Moonbridge right now, so.
Oh, you're only Moonbridge. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's something. I mean, you need 50 for every individual key for the Black Mage.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's like
it's a
50
long way
days of
away.
dailies for
Yeah.
like a 1, yeah. And first it does drop a lot of the items, so you will get a lot of extra keys. But I think with the addition of the practice mode, there will be not as much pressure. So don't feel bad at all for skipping that spark deal. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Can we go back to V Matrix? So just round that topic.
Yeah,
out,
sure.
We talked a bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the main question here is, I have about 200 nodes now sitting in my inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Should I just dump them all into Adele given my goals, or because the thing with I want to set up a kind of side character, some bossy mules, but they're just so unpleasant to play without nodes, right?
Yeah.
So I want to reserve a couple for those, but then my skills like burst skills, Infinity Blade, Ruin, all that stuff still have ways to go. Well,
Yeah, they're
the
decent
nodes are
level, but
finishing up.
yeah, they've got some way. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering how many more nodes do I realistically need to dump in here before I can start using my Adele to farm for nodes, because I don't have a farmer, and then tossing them on bossing mules and get better returns.
Yeah, I added like because it's kind of scary. Like, I'll be like, oh, I just want to level up this character, just max out those nodes, and I have like 3 skills that are already level 16 or something. And I'll open like 500 nodes, and I'll just get them all to like 19 or something. It's like, oh god, like this is very inefficient at the higher end. If you have a few hundred, I think like you can safely like disassemble that extra level. Wait, that extra level 18 is spare, right? The other ones are.
Yeah, that's spare. The actual level 18 is spare.
Like I would extract that one, and then make sure you get that at least that one burning one to level 25, and then you're completely fine there. And then with those extra shards, yeah, I think the order is the Infinity Blade, then Ruin, then Weapon Aura.
Weapon Aura, okay.
Yeah, because of the uptime, and you're pretty DPM heavy, right?
Legacy Restoration, because it's huge.
I think it's Aura, then Goddess Blessing, then Legacy Restoration, and then Ruin, I believe.
Okay. Should I, with my like nodes that I have to disassemble because they overlap with my boost, should I start crafting Infinity Blade nodes, or do I just gamble and re-roll it into more nodes and start opening them?
Once your boost nodes are maxed, I think it's better to just make the skill nodes, because you lose a lot of efficiency once you don't need the boost nodes anymore. And as an Adele, I would have done what you just said, that all the way up. Yeah, like laughing your way to the bank with that, because you have so little variance in your boost nodes, right? So it's just you're printing money there. You're getting very, very high efficiency compared to basically any other class in the game. So you have that easy as well, which is good as an Adele. But yeah, once you're at this point, you just straight up making the skill notes, I would say. But if you only have, well, only, I don't want to downplay, but if you have like a few hundred available, so for my project CRA, I don't know if you've seen those, that's 100 boost nodes on those characters. So that gets you like usually two out of 3 nodes to start off with that are around level 8 or 9, and just your basic skill nodes, and that's basically it. That's around 100 nodes. So if you're trying to make it into Bossing Mule that includes Lotus and Damien, that's probably going to be at least like around 300 to 500, I would say, a piece. So that's why I always said, like, make sure you try to use the Terra Burning, right? Because that, with all the benefits that are going around, I think every new Terra Burn is going to probably get like around 100 nodes just by itself. So that's going to be a huge start already in that direction. That takes the pressure off of the rest of your account, so that you don't have to actively take away from your Adele's growth at this point to completely sidetrack that, or put it by the side way. But you can still keep
200 in grand scheme of things is a small number, right? I just thought that 200 sitting in my inventory, so I don't need to think too hard on that. I just dump it.
As long as you're still leveling on the Adele, the income is going to keep going, but you always want to get the event stores, always buy it out, basically. Until you're looking at an inventory, you have like a few thousand there, but you don't really have anything actively that needs them. I think your Adele can get quite far with just max boost nodes and like level 16 or so skill nodes. That's already really good. Like you can get very far with that. People I think fixate a little bit too much and try to max all their skills. The only thing that's probably going to be more important for you to grow into those harder bosses and make sure that your Goddess Blessing gets in and that your Goddess Blessing gets a high level, because that augments the damage of all of your skills. So that's going to be an important, although it is on a 4 minute and the rest is on a 3 minute. But when you're doing like you know, if you're doing a bossing party, you're usually doing like 2 minute small burst and then 4 minute big burst, right? So it synchronizes with that.
Got it. Okay.
If you
I get about
close to 20
nodes,
you're good,
40 nodes per totem right now. Just, training on my Adele. So yeah, slow process to build up. But
40? Okay. And that's, you have the full like drop meso set going on in VC3?
Yeah, I have 100 meso. I have with my large drop fam 250 drop.
Nice,
I got lucky on the greed pendant, right, with
double drop
line item drop one.
Yeah.
Yeah, some stat.
Yeah, and all set as well. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, some good event rings. So it's clear demarcation point between damage and drop rings. So should I I think I'm good for V Matrix. Should I spend my coins on the Chaos Ring right now? Given my ring situation, because I haven't bought out other parts of the shop yet for Adele, but it's quite expensive, right? 3,500 event coins.
Yeah, I think
could
it's
go
a
into
bit
nodes, could go
pricey as
into
well.
other things.
Yeah. Well, you buying the regular nodes? You bought those, right?
No, I haven't bought those out yet.
Okay.
I only did event rings, getting them for my main and also for some characters I want secondaries or bossing mules.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
you're on that right now.
So you're thinking about the Chaos Ring. So what's your current ring setup?
For that, those are my backups
Guardian?
plus
Guardian, Vengeful, Superior, and kind of Treasure for damage.
Yep.
Yeah,
My top row's damage, and then the 4 rings under that. Maybe add Chaos Ring.
Drop. So what function would the Chaos Ring get here? Because what I see is that if you want to get stronger damage rings, you're going to be pushing the past 17 star ones, right? You're going to push like a Reinforced past, a Meister past, transferring into higher Superior, tapping kind of Treasure when you have backups, stuff like that. That's going to be an upgrade on the Reboot Vengeful, which means the Reboot Vengeful will become a drop ring, which means you have an extra drop ring, and then a Chaos Ring would fall into that same category, and then you have 6 drop rings. So their function could be to replace meso rings with drop rings. So if you try to go over the drop rate, right? If you're doing things like normal arc, if you're trying to do like Princess Node, generally your weekly bosses where money isn't an issue. If you want to make additional drop rate rings, that would be its function. So if you think that's,
I have other event rings outside of what's on the screen as well. Something unique.
Yeah, the Cosmos,
so
right?
Hard
Awake.
Yeah. And I think with Destiny, there's more rings coming.
Yeah, as well.
Well,
maybe,
you have
you already have it, right?
I have a lot of rings. Yeah, I have a lot of rings.
You have the Awake and the Treasure Hunter already take the spots of the what is it? The Master Ring SS and the Kana Treasure, so that you have 4 drop rings. So I don't think the Chaos will get a function, right?
Yep. Okay.
So it doesn't seem like you need it on this character.
Got it.
And I think even
That's
the
why
other.
I saved my coins. I didn't spend them because something felt off about it.
Yeah, just because you can afford it and because it has good stats doesn't mean you need it. Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna replace like your Noble Ifia ring or something with it and try to roll double lines on that one to get a little bit more base stats. That could be cool, but how expensive is it to get that?
But
and does it make a
significant? Already has double lines.
Already,
right?
Really high bar to replace it. Yeah, and like
the other questions, because I have so many backup rings and all that stuff, should I drop some money on red cubes to start double lining? Then I get more return when I farm and I train.
You have 2 double line items now, right? You have the pendant and the Ephios.
The Ephios, yeah.
Yeah, so you build around those 2. So do you end up with a 5-line meso 6-line drop?
Yeah.
Then you're fine for where you were at, honestly. Because
with the large drop fam 250 drop rate, right? So,
yeah, Like you can look at the cost calculator, but like with red cubes, the chance of double lining is actually kind of scary, scary low. You see like 2 lines involving drop or mezzo obtain calculate. Like it says here, it's like 4 to 6 bill on reds. I think it's better on blacks. Yeah, it's a little bit better. But if you're looking for either one, but if you're looking for specific, that cost goes up significantly to play around with. So like you can luck into it for sure. But
it's looking like 4 or 5 bill. Right, gambling.
It gets more annoying.
Oh yeah.
Also, when you have pieces with alternating lines, so that's cheaper to roll. That's good value in the beginning, but it becomes harder to make your distinct sets between are you mobbing or are you bossing, because then you could be equipping what you in your eyes are like double line items, but then if you're doing specifically bossing, you are actually not getting that much drop rate because a bunch of it is mezzo obtained. It's not helping you at all, right? So it's really good for mobbing, but then for the bossing, it doesn't help you. So that it's still like single function stuff. At that point, you'd rather have either double mezzo, so it's specifically for mobbing and then opens up a slot when you're bossing, or specifically double drop, so it's specifically for bossing and then open, or for either one basically, and then you can play around those pieces.
Okay.
And those are, and then you get into the double-digit bills. So I don't think you're quite at that point yet. I think you have a lot more gains to be made in star forcing first, before you start min-maxing on that, I would say.
Okay. Just settle for my drop rate for now.
Yeah, settle for drop rate, focus mainly, I think, towards star forcing. And transitioning into arcanes, and then once you're like in that arcane transition, you're just kind of like waiting for drops or like waiting for events, then you could like, and there's like a cube sale, you could definitely like roll some accessories, see if you get lucky. But that is basically when you get at the point where every upgrade you're looking at is going to be in the double-digit bills. So then like locking out on an accessory is actually more of a realistic thing that might happen within your budget, because all the other projects are just so expensive, basically.
Got it. What should be my next damage ring that I work on? So there's a couple options. Reinforced Golix, right? One of them. I could craft a Meister ring, but my Dom Pendant luck has been total crap.
Okay.
Been running it for months. I only got one.
Oof, yeah.
It's pretty rough. So I don't want to get desperate and have to craft the Dom Pendant.
Yeah, I know. Wait, did you get your drop rate familiar recently?
So I took a break from the game. I got it about a year ago, but then I stopped playing for 8 months and I came back about 4 months ago.
Okay.
I have 2 drop rate fams actually now.
Oh, nice.
Just trying to get IED or boss, and then it just gives you a second drop rate fam. It's ridiculous. Like,
can I trade it to another character?
yeah, exactly. Give it to my Kana. Yeah, I got it from a booster pack on Christmas, actually, for my first drop rate fam. So, and on the same day, I think, or next day, that was my first Dominator pendant from running normal arc. So it just all the luck.
It's a good Christmas for you.
Yeah, it was a very good Christmas. Yeah. Okay, so I just chill out on the red cubing. Don't try not gamble there.
Yeah, well, the thing is that if you're going to be trying to go past 17 stars right this summer, hopefully you get the Shining Star Force, but like holding on to your money is just going to be important, because even if it doesn't happen, the first 5 to 15 with the 20% off is still going to be massive gains, and you want to have as much money there because every single mezzo you spend is just going to be more efficient, right? What's the deal with the 2 tops, by the way?
Okay, so it was because of the flame, right? So I was safety flaming a backup CRA, and then I hit 100 flame, and then that became the main one. So I decided to increase the potential for that, and then the other one just fell by the wayside. It was very early on in my account.
I see, the unique one. Yeah.
So then I just have a backup CRA at 17 star. Hence the last 5, 10, 15, I got everything to 17 star, and then I had about 2-3 bill left. So I tapped the chest to 18 because knowing I have a backup, right?
Yep.
And then I had less than a bill left when I hit 18 star, so that broke.
Yeah.
And I stopped. Yeah, disciplined.
Yeah. I think
so the chest I can push because I have backup.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the great thing about the CRA is that you always have backups because you can always trace. And even though you lose the Star Force, if the potential is good and the flame is good, and your account is like in its entirety in a good position, one item booming and being like a downgrade for a certain event won't impact your overall clearing on anything anymore, because every individual stuff is going to be so small. So like, it's fine that you got to this point, but I would caution against doing more of this, because that will add up, and that will actually detract from your potential of moving forward by building too big of a safety net.
I don't buy flames because it's just the gamble, right? So that's safety flame off of running bosses. So hence I end up with situations like this sometimes. So the hat, decent flame; chest, decent flame; pants, 80-ish flame, I think. Yeah. So more room to go there, but I probably have other places I need to spend my mezzos at the point, so I just chill out.
Just with bossing flames for a long time. The only thing I think you really buy flames for is things you transpose or weapon. That's what I would buy flames for. For everything else, MasterCard. No, for everything else, just bossing flames.
But no pap mark yet either for me. So the Dawn Pendant I have, I got it to 16 star. The flame is decent, but not transpose worthy.
Not transpose worthy.
It's not transpose worthy, so just chill out on that for now, because it's just part of damage gear. I'm not gonna push it to legendary potential, because with transpose I think it resets, right?
It keeps the tier, but it rerolls the lines on it.
Oh, okay. Then I can push it to legendary then, right?
Yeah, but there's not really a point. Like, sometimes people are like, I can roll it to legendary, because then, if I transpose, I could luck into my perfect roll. But it's like, yeah, but you could also get it to legendary and then accidentally get the roll you want and then have to roll out of it. That's the same odds, so I don't know if there's a point in... If there's a cube sale, I would legendary it early, but if you can use it for temporary gear, then you can get it legendary and give it a function.
Right now, just 9% strength on it, right? Not that good.
You can get it to like 2-line. It's an accessory, so it's pretty low cost,
okay.
But if you roll 30, it's going to feel bad, because then you have to transpose away, and you're definitely not keeping that. Just be
with
mentally
the
prepared for that.
I have so far right now, it's, I don't know. If I get another one, I'll start safety flaming on the other one, and then just drop the rainbow flames, and then see if I can get it transpose worthy.
Yeah, you say safety flame. You mean like on a fodder or on a backup piece?
Yeah, fodder. Yeah.
Okay.
I do that approach a lot, since I don't spend money actively on flames.
See, we have 2 belts as well.
Yes, one is for Golix, and the other one's just old from a long time ago. Decent flame on the pink beam, but
why did you
don't cube it?
Why did you not just upgrade the one?
What do you mean? Like
well, you're spreading your investment here, and you're like leaving a lot of money behind. And the main thing with Reboot is, because we don't have trade, you want to invest in a way that helps you maintain the value as much as possible. So when you look at the pants, for example, you could fuck up your flame, but fucking up your flame a little bit is less money than making an extra 17-star unique plus pants or top, right? Same thing with the belt. If you just have your 17-star belt, you can just Star Force that one past 17. If it booms up, you go back to a 12-star, but you only do that during like a 30% off, or when you have a bunch of belt backups, right? So you build that safety net that way.
Okay. My thinking there was, I had the 17-star pink beam. It was just my starter belt, decent flame, and then I knew I wanted to transfer into Golix eventually. So I Star Forced my backup pink beam belt during 5, 10, 15, get it to 18 star. I'm not sure if I should shoot for 20 star or something and then transfer hammer, right? So that's why, and I don't have 4-set Golix, so I'm just hedging and sitting here before making a major decision to push pink beam to 19, 20, and then transfer hammering to my superior. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah, so financially, like, what's more efficient is to do that move in one go. Because, like, let's say that you now, that you do, like, decide that you don't really have the funds to go up to, like, 21 and transfer into Superior. You're just going to transfer to 17 Superior. And you now, the old belt is completely out of commission, right? But all of that, now you did that investment twice, right? Because you still, all of that money that went into the Golden Clover belt still has gone into it and is still sitting in your inventory.
Right.
Like the only way that you can ever get that back is if you're going to be like, okay, now I'm going to transfer 21 into superior belt. Now I can go back to the old belt and try to get that one at 21, and then we're starting at 17 at least, right? If you're going to do it twice. But the financial ideal way is just to have your basic golden clover belt, but like you get it to 17 typically. And then when 5, 10, 15 rolls around, you transfer that into superior, safeguard the last star, boom, you have a 17. And then you'll look at like, okay, the next step, do I just save a bunch of golden clover belts, do it at like a 30% off, you know, when it's a little bit cheaper, but you can boom a whole lot, but you can get a whole lot, so it's okay. Or during 5, 10, 15, whatever comes up. Or you get a lot of superior belt drops, and you maybe get a good potential on the belt, and then you just try it on the belt itself and see if it doesn't.
Yeah, it's only in the last week I got the 3 superior belts. I got 2 in the last week, so I only had 1 before that. So yeah, it's a big change now. So maybe I transfer hammer my 18th star into my Gollix once I have 4 set, and then I just wait for the Destiny Star Force event, and then I push the 17th star to 20 or something, right? And then only when it has 20, I transfer into the Gollix.
Yeah, or 21, right? The
21, yeah, 21, and then yeah.
Well, the big thing about that is if you transfer twice, that's what most people do, but stretch over a long period of time, then you have to redo your potential twice.
Yep.
That's the one downside to that. So if you the other thing, I want to double check this because I think 18 and transferring down is I think less efficient than just like 15, 16 and then doing that again on the superior and then just safeguarding the last star, I believe. But I want to double check that. Superior is 150, so it's 140 belt, no safeguard, 18 during 5, 10, 15, right? You have any MVP discounts that I should know about?
Nope.
Any credit card swiping up here? No. Okay.
No.
No. So it looks average 1.2 to 1.5 bill. Yeah, so that to me already seems like that's going to be higher than because the main thing is I
don't know if I want to wait for the next event because I'm close to 4 set Gollix, right? Once I get 4 set, I'm gonna just make a transition.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's your cost, 1.2 to 1.5, and if you do the lower, just up to 16, because then you're looking at like 3. So let's say like 400-ish, and then 150 with safeguard to 17 from 15. Yeah, see? You add up like 9.
Yeah.
So that's like a few hundred mil there difference by approaching from the bottom because you can get that 15 to 16 free twice. Or free at 100% chance twice. So that's why usually with the fodder, in the beginning it's fine to just have your starting 17 belt, transfer it over, and then just safeguard the last one during a 5, 10, 15. That's usually the move you want to make rather than going out the fodder. If you're going the fodder route, you want to go all the way 21 to make it worth it. Because then if you compare the numbers, it's like way in favor because of the amount of potential booms on the belt if you would like 17 to 20 on the superior after a transfer. So then it's majorly in favor of going above and then down 1. But otherwise you want to approach from 15, yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's mostly for other characters.
Because this this is already the way it is.
Yeah.
If I don't want to wait for 5, 10, 15, should I transfer hammer the 18 or the 17? I'm trying to clear the bosses now, and 4 set Gollix is going to be huge, right? Yes. As soon as I get enough to either buy earrings or get earrings to drop, I'm transitioning because I have the other pieces.
I'm always for trying to make the best of the situation that you have and not like to wonder too much at like how it could have been like better, but I guess like for the future, right? But for this situation, I guess since you know that approaching it from the bottom isn't super bad, right? It isn't super costly. If you do have the funds, you could try to YOLO your 18 and see if you actually can, within a decent amount of money, maybe get it to 21 and then transfer it, and then you could do a 1-go push basically. And if it ends up booming, then you just transfer the other one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then I'll transfer the 17, and then maybe safeguard for the last star on the Gollix, sit on the 17, and then wait for the event, push the 18 to 21, and see if I get lucky. Yeah.
So that would be like this. That would be the way to guarantee an upgrade. But you can also try the 18 first, right? And then if it works, transfer that one straight up. And then if it doesn't work, then you can still transfer the 17.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So keep the 17 as a backup in case the 18 goes wrong. Because if the 18 succeeds, now you can keep the 17. Well, now you've overall basically skipped, right? You skipped the 17 and having to redo the potential. Now you've gone straight up to 20 and could do the potential. And that piece is going to be gone for or done for so long that you can worry about other stuff. And you can go harder on the potential because you know the Star Force is going to stay for a while. So,
yep.
And that gives you more time to get backup belts. And then you can probably try to go on the belt itself, right? With more security and have backups there. And that'll overall, because you have backups, that'll save you money in the long term.
Got it. How long would I have to wait? Because I have to wait for the event, right? For the push to 21 to make sense.
Yeah, pretty much. At this point, yeah. We have to wait at least until there's an official announcement that we're going to get Shining Star Force. If there isn't one, then you just keep an eye on Sunny Sundays for the next 5, 10, 15. After the summer 20% discount, I would say.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're too close to that. Usually I'm very much like, don't wait for like months for an update, right? Because in the meantime, you could have just made the upgrade and moved on. But with a possible event this big, I'd say it's worth waiting for, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not struggling for damage unless I try to go for hard will in the short term or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that covers the belt. It covers the rings. Should I craft a Meister ring?
Yeah. How are you looking on materials? Because I saw a picture.
I have the materials down somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, 6 pounds. Yeah, and you're good on the Grand Spell Essences and the Twisted Times.
Yeah. 1,000 legions of those. Yeah.
Yeah, you could make some Meisters because that would be like your second slot. Meister is real. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Meister is gone now because we have Slime Ring." It's like, well, no. You can still use a Meister Ring for very long. You can easier get to 20 and 21, way easier than with the Slime. And then eventually, even if you do have a nice Meister and it's had a nice lifespan, it just goes into a Superior, or it goes into a Superior and then into another Slime. So you're always going to want to make them anyway. So I'm guessing because you want to keep your coins, you're not super high on the coins and you still potentially need to buy the earrings, so you want to take that pressure off of the reinforced. So I would say Meister, I could see you use like Meister, Kind of Treasure, Superior, Guardian, Slime as like the rings. And then the push up will be either Meister or Kind of Treasure, wherever you have the most backups to try to get up to 21. Probably on the ring itself to keep using, and then on a backup like you like to do, because then that will transfer into the Superior, so that you can redo the Superior potential. And then the step after that would be another Kana or Meister. Ideally, at that point, you either like find an Oz ring if you're doing Oz, and then that will mean that you don't have to make another backup to go into the Superior and into the Slime Ring, but you can use your existing damage one because you don't need any more Drop or Mezzo rings because that's already all taken care of. You can just use your existing one that then has lived out its lifespan, goes into a second Superior, and then the Oz ring just takes its place for like most of the situation, right? And then the Gollux ring, the second Gollux ring into the Slime Ring, and hopefully that doesn't boom. If it does boom, you might have to take like whatever event ring you have with the best stats to temporarily fill the slot. But as always, the more backups you have, the least chance that that will happen.
Yeah, it's some comfort. I have a 3-line event ring.
Yeah,
just lucked out.
Yeah, exactly. That'll always be able to take the spot and not make the blow too hard. And again, if one equip falls away, and then as long as it's not like a Superior piece, right? Because that that takes the set bonus with it. That's pretty yikes. But as long as one piece fills away, if you have like an OK replacement or even like a 12-star because of the trace, it shouldn't like drop your kill speed when you're training, or significantly affect your kill speed when you're bossing. So you should still be okay.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about a bit of upgrade priority. I think I can squeeze in a few totems a week, and then I get the Ursus Maple Tour money. So income-wise, we're looking at 3-4 bill on a normal week, something like that, right? I have about 3.5 bill in the bank right now. So yeah, just how much did I spend before the Destiny event versus did I spend anything at all, right? If I spend, what do I spend it on?
You have a lot of dineros, so you
3K. Oh, that was my other question.
Yeah.
Do I keep doing Commercy? Because the Sweetwater gear situation confuses me a lot. I know the things for sure is like you Dom Pendant, you get good Flame, Pat Mark, good Flame Transpose. But do I get a clean one and Star Force that at all? I see some people doing it with the Monocle and Pendant, but I'm not sure if that's
Yeah.
worth it, right?
Well, not with the pendant, right? Pendant is pretty much only just like transpose and move up. Some people will say like, okay, I don't like Commercy, so I'm not going to do it as much. And then for the eye accessory, I'll just use a black beam mark and try to get that up to 20. And that basically, means that I don't have to worry about like a 21 monocle. And then if I eventually get a pat mark, then I can then transpose into the monocle and then work on it.
Yeah, I have a lot of backups for black beam mark. I have my item, and then I have 3 backups. And one for drop, one for damage, and then I think there's 3 backups now in my inventory. So maybe getting black beam to 20 is
that could be the play. You have a lot of dineros though, so I am thinking in terms of like any upgrade you can make before Destiny to like take advantage of Destiny would probably be to try to get a nice flame on the Dominator pendant and try to transpose it before Destiny, so that during Destiny you can try to Star Force the pendant and have that take its place.
I see.
Because you can like without safeguard just send all the way up when you have that many dineros. And the pendant is quite expensive. And then maybe you could decide based on how well the pendant does to see like, oh, I still have a bunch of dineros left, so you can just send a monocle as well if you want to, because you can go to 21. It's a higher level. You lose the flame advantage, you lose the set bonus, but it is a higher level item that it's being Star Force, so the total bonus stats are quite a bit higher than the beam mark, and it goes up to 21, so it does overpower it at that point. But then it has to depend on how you feel about, having to drop that item then, and having the black beam mark already so close, quote unquote, and then possibly pat mark and magic eye patch, eventually taking its place. How you feel, like how you would feel about that investment if that would happen.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a lucky person.
Okay.
Just forget about eye patch.
Yeah. Well, because when it comes to tattoo, we have that drop from Lucid and Will coming as well, right? That will probably replace it, especially since you already have the slime ring, so the set bonus will come in.
Right.
So that will take some pressure off of there as well. But since you have another dineros and you've already put the work in, I would say definitely aim towards being able to take advantage of the pendant, because that's the most expensive one. But you have the backups there, so I would work on that.
Should I stop doing Commercy?
I think
I don't know when to stop.
3,000 is a decent amount, because the pendant is what, 450?
400 or something, yeah.
Yeah, 400, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 250 or 300 for the eye and the fade.
I don't like that daily, but when I was playing before I took my break, I was very disciplined about Commercy.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
getting my ship to 3, and
I see that.
But then that's part of the burnout too. That was one of the topics. Talk about it. Like, if I go too hard, I burn out. I hate the game, quit. But then I miss out on all these events. Missed out on compensation, right?
That FOMO.
Yeah. That was just disastrous. I could have just logged in, right, and
just picked
all those
it up.
flames, and they're giving. Yeah, I mean, I want to avoid
symbols,
that situation. I'd rather skip some dailies to not hate the game, right?
Yeah.
And then just have a steady, progress over time.
Yeah, I think you're okay with not doing Commercy anymore, at least for a bit. If you do the Destiny update, right, and you actually just like blow through all your dineros, and it kind of takes away some of your options, and you can always just start it back up. But then you're starting it back up for a purpose, and I think it's easier to stay motivated for it, for the purpose of finding it useful rather than doing it because you can or because maybe it'll be useful at some point.
What's the average dinero cost to transpose?
Like it's 10 per transpose. You can do 10 attempts a day, so that's 100. The average is probably like 7 days or something, so probably like 700 or something.
700 dineros. Okay.
Something like that.
At least it was still healthy, $2,000 and change to backups.
So it's like 4 or 5 pendant backups, so that should be decent. Yeah, I have some older characters where I have like 4 or 5k dineros, but then some of the newer characters that have like around 2k or approaching 3k. Like that's a very decent buffer.
Okay, then I might drop some flames on my Dominator and gamble a bit on flames, settle
Yeah,
for
if I'm
maybe
looking for your
110.
stuff,
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I would spend money on at this point, honestly.
Before Destiny, right?
Before Destiny, yeah, and then you just save as much as possible for go major or hard on star forcing. Basically, if you saw the session from yesterday, kind of like the same priority, right? Like the CRA stuff, and then
the Demon Slayer session or
the Demon Slayer one, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, he had way more money, right? So we could plan way heavier. So for you, it'll be more like what we talked about, where you just go like 1 star at a time on stuff to make sure that you can confirm getting value out of your cash, rather than just being like, oh, just send everything, because he's going to have like 150 to 200 bill, right? But I don't think you're going to be at that point. You're probably going to be more at the point that you have like 30 to 40 or something.
Yep.
So that means that you want to go more 1 star at a time to confirm upgrades, and hopefully you can get the CRA to 21 with that, and that'll already be really solid. And then full 17 superior at least, and then hopefully like the 17 star the
Golic set.
Yeah. The Golic set and full accessories.
DSC ready to transfer hammer over. So 1 for drop, 1 for fodder. So 18 star.
Yeah, you got a lot of doubles. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, the other.
Yeah, but that's because it's awkward right now. I'm moving over to Golics pretty soon, so those doubles will disappear.
Well, it's going into so it's got to go into reinforced first, right, and then into superior. So you still have to safeguard the last star, yeah. Then the 18 again. I think in being, I don't want to knock it, but like I think in being more safe, it's usually how it works, right? Like the less safe you are, the cheaper it can be, but like riskier, right? And the more risky you are, it could be more expensive, but then you have all of the risk and all of the cost on the front end. So once you pass that point, you're kind of home free. So you're doing more of that approach. Yeah, essentially, it totally just depends on what you prefer. There's usually like the middle ground, right? Where you, I was explaining it this way: like if you have a superior belt, the cheapest way is just to transfer Star Force to the superior belt and try to get it to 22, right? That would be the cheapest. But you probably will need like 12 belts or something. So that's the hard part. The safest way, but the very most expensive way, would be to get like a 23-star ping bean belt and then transfer hammer it over into the superior, right? That's the safest. You only need 1, no risk on the superior, but it's like astronomically expensive. So both of those ways are kind of like no-goes. So the in-between is usually like 21 ping bean into a 20-star superior belt, and then have superior belt backups, and then on the superior belt do the last 2 stars. That's like the compromise, basically. So if you're around this point, it'll make more sense that you're kind of going like the second option there, because it isn't that astronomical in cost. It's still pretty affordable. But if you want to use the same approach on the very upper end, it's going to be impossible to do, right? Because like it's an extreme example, but like if you want to get that 22 with that same sense of security that you did now, going 23 to 22 would be the way to do it. That's just completely unaffordable. So you're going to have to switch over into that like third way of finding the compromise eventually. Otherwise, it's not going to work out anymore.
Got it. But for now, to go into 4-set Golics, just do the double transfer, safeguard the last star, get the earrings. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. If you were to have like 80 bill or something by the summer, then I would say do the same thing as with the belt, and just try like YOLO one and see if it goes all the way up.
Yep.
And then if it doesn't,
given
you can
how much
still
I play, I don't think.
Exactly. That's the stopping factor there. So when people are talking about like best in slot, or like how do I get from point A to point B, that's always like it's a huge factor. And I guess to get into that a little bit, we're a little bit over time, but we could talk about that a little bit. The burnout stuff. I usually find it, if you are, when you like think about MapleStory, do you think like I have to log in or I want to log in?
Depends on what I expect myself to do once I log in. Right. So, if it's to practice a boss, and that's the only thing I have to worry about when I log in, I want to log in. But then if it's like, I know I have to practice for Will, but I don't want to miss out on the dailies, then it puts me behind on everything. I do my dailies, and then plus I have to do a mule or something, plus some Legion, then still watch videos for the boss, then you start burning out, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're using the word have to, right? I think that's the key word. If you feel like you have to do it, feel like it's mandatory.
Yeah, so I have a new approach to the game after quitting twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just if I don't feel like logging in, I just don't log in.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I log in, I have a clear priority depending on how much time I have to play. If it's an hour, I just do my dailies and then just log out on my main.
Do you notice when you do stuff in a day that there's some things you always leave last?
Um, I always leave last. So there's things I know will benefit my account long term, such as going to practice mode and practicing the bosses
Mm-hmm.
that I put off a lot because I'm trying to grab the immediate dopamine hit doing dailies and FOMO around that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's time sensitive.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where it is. And then the grinding Legion, sometimes I get burned out there, especially during events, such as the one right now where there's
Yeah.
a coin cap. So first time I quit was during Awake, where I was trying to coin cap on 6 characters
Six
or
characters,
something.
yeah.
Right? It's just way too much.
That's the
Um,
everyone's downfall.
yeah,
Yeah. Because then you get all
yeah,
of the stuff that you work so hard for, and then you don't want to log in anymore, and then all of the stuff you work so hard for, you can't even enjoy and take advantage of.
yeah, and taking a competitive view of the game where you're racing to other people for
Mhm.
levels and boss clears that.
Then you start playing by other people's schedules, which can be completely
Yeah, that too.
unmaintainable.
Then,
Yeah.
yeah, so I had some main switches too, so that led to some burnout. I started with a Demon Slayer, then stopped at 210 after I didn't like the blue blood triggers, which now with Destiny I might go back to it, turn it into bossing mule. Then I went to Dawn Warrior, so I have a 227 Dawn Warrior. Found it too boring though. It was a good class to learn the game because it's simple. I didn't have to think too much about the skills, but
you can worry more about the systems.
Then I switched to
yeah,
stay away from Adele for a long time because of bandwagon. But every character I try just doesn't compare. So
it's kind of undeniable.
So I just so just just play Adele. Experience the content. Yeah.
If there are just certain, so the reason I asked, like, if there's certain things you just leave to last minute, because I would say that happens a lot. For most people, they would immediately say Commercy. That's probably like 80% of people who are listening are like, yep, that's the thing I'd like always leave for last. If there's something you generally leave for last, I would say either do it very first thing you do or don't do it at all. So if you're like feeling up for it, you just do it first of all, you get it out of the way, and then you can do all the fun stuff, because typically you leave it to last because you actually don't really want to do it, but you kind of know that it's necessary. So either you just don't do it at all and just cut it out and be like, I'll do it every other day, or I'll do it like when I really need to. Or you get it done first so that it's out of the way, and then you get to feel good about already having done it. Then that in itself becomes like a motivating thing, rather than dreading it the whole day, like, oh shit, I still have to do it. And then it's like, oh no, it's like 15 minutes before reset, I'm not even going to be able to do all of it, and then rushing towards it, and then being like annoyed that you left it so late, annoyed that you didn't even get to do all of it, and then being really annoyed because, oh, now it's resets, I can actually technically do it again, so I kind of know I should, but I'm already hating it, so I'm not going to do it now, which means that tomorrow is going to be the last thing again, you know? That's like the cycle. It happens with everyone. So either do it like immediately in the day, get it over with, or just don't do it that day and be like, today I'm not doing it, fuck it, you know? Rather than, I'm not going to log in at all. Because that could work as well, but that's more of a rigor, because now you're getting rid of the stuff that you would maybe like as well. I'm not saying it's not good to not play for a day. Like, I think it's fine to just say, like, today I'm not going to log in, I'm not going to play. Because that what it really comes down to, I think, is making sure that you play the game and that the game doesn't play you. So if you feel that you are not really feeling logging in, but you feel like there's a bunch of things tugging at you, like you need to be here because you're gonna miss symbols, you're gonna get behind, you're not gonna get event currency, blah blah blah. If you feel like the only motivator is because I'll miss out on stuff, that's probably good to listen to that initial feeling and just not log in that day, so that you keep your power. You know, you don't give your power away to the game to decide when you play. It's supposed
to be fun.
Right? Exactly.
There's no PvP or anything. Right?
Yeah, there's no. There's some rankings, but they don't really matter all that much. Apparently, the guy rank 1 in Legion is actually a bot, and everyone knows it. But because they spent so much money on the game, they got unbanned and reinstated and stuff. Even the rankings to an extent don't really matter. So,
I'm not a big person on flexing on stats and stuff. Just enough to do content and happy, right? Yeah, the Legion burnout gets me sometimes too. Especially for characters that I try to be frugal and I don't fund properly. Then you have a terrible time 6-shotting mobs. So So one of your streams or videos, you always dump 300 mil roughly into a mule when pushing from 140 to 200.
Yep.
Right. So that approach has gotten better. I don't feel like it's absolute trash. Right.
And there's some growth potions here and there for like the.
Yeah, I've been bonking
the harder levels.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
See some
that's the other question. It's like getting my 140s to 200s, and then also filling out the 40 characters, so I could easily hit 6K Legion. There. But sometimes I don't want to log in because, for example, I know I'm missing a Kinesis Link skill, which is key, but I hate the intros and the background story. I just don't care, and then just hold down the NPC chat for 20 minutes, and it's just like, oh shit, I gotta create that character.
No one else does that. Everyone loves more.
Yeah, just like that makes me not want to create the Kinesis. Yeah. Then I know it's a link I need later on in game anyways.
Well, it's probably going to be one of those things where if you feel that you really have all the other useful links, but also, and this is going to come back to like the comparative stuff, is like when we talk about the upgrades and you're talking about like, you know, going double line on stuff, there's going to be a point where every single upgrade is just, that you're looking at is just going to be 40 bill, and then, you know, being just like throwing some cubes around and just seeing if you can like YOLO up something to double line. That's going to be like a fun thing to do, and it's not really going to hurt you in the long term because it's going to be just such a small thing to do. And I think the same thing is going to happen with those skills. Like if you're like approaching 8K Legion and all the characters you have are 200 and your main character's like in the 260s and leveling takes forever, you know, taking a little bit of time out of your day and just, you know, toughing out the Kinesis stuff in the beginning of the day probably, right? And just getting through that story so that you can just get that crit damage. Comparatively, it'll be worth so much to you compared to anything else you can do that it'll just make sense to do it eventually. But it's totally fine. Like I said, if you blow up one equip, your whole account isn't going to fall apart. So if you're missing that one link skill, your whole account isn't going to fall apart. As long as everything else is like meeting the pace, you're not really going to notice that you're missing it. Plus, the cool part about keeping quote unquote like key upgrades like that for later is that you're basically like gimping yourself the whole way through, and then when you have nothing to upgrade, you can actually get a really cheap, easy upgrade, which will feel really good later on.
Got it.
It's like having no totems, for example, right? Like going completely totemless and then just being like, fuck Afterlands, I'm not going to do that. And then let's say that you were like 2 years down the road and we've never had a Dark Lords of Darkness and all of your upgrades are like hundreds of bills. You're like, oh, now I'm going to do Afterlands. Like, boom, I just gained like 30 attack and 50 stat like on a day, which otherwise would have cost me hundreds of billions. So then that upgrade actually becomes significant, you know?
Yeah. Am I missing anything critical in my Legion? Do a quick check.
These are, wait,
I
are
have
these all the
Hayato Jet at 200, Shade at 140, so the crit damage. So there, Demon Slayer 210, very nice bossing link. Of 200 mechanic. Evan I pushed to 200, but you know it has a fake soul on it.
Yeah. Have you tried the 5th at all?
Yeah. No, I'm putting that off because the job promotion quest is just disgusting, and I kind of only want to do it when I have spare nodes. So that's the other holdback for me. I don't want to do this really bad grind from 200 to 210 without any boost nodes, right?
I get that. Yeah, I did the base. I did ones I did a long time ago, like back when there was only like one 5th job skill. But Evan does pack a punch with the 5th job skills. Honestly, they're pretty big.
Okay, but Legion upgrade priority does it look like? There's a couple options. One's like I can make new characters, get them to 100, do the Zakum thing. Then I hit 6K pretty easily. So I have a couple of level 70s. I can push those to 100.
Yep.
And then just do 5 characters a day on Zakum.
Yeah.
Then make a Kinesis. That's like another one, right? Yeah.
I mean, you just make singular characters, right? You just you still have what 9 more characters that their level can count.
Yeah.
So even at level 100, that's 900 more. That takes you to 5.7, and then all you need is some bonking here and there and some Zakum runs, and then you're at 6K. From there on out, like jumping from there to 8K is going to be a huge commitment. I think you can get pretty quickly get to like 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, but that last 500 is going to be significant. And then you just want to make sure that when you have your characters lined up, that you have them. I talk about this a lot. You probably heard this, like categorize them, right? Being like, this is when I want to train. This is when I absolutely don't want to train.
Yep.
This is one that maybe wants to become a bossing mule, and then you basically prioritize them for Terra Burns, Mega Burns, Terra Burninators, which that's very useful. It doesn't mean that you have to remake your character, so you can immediately jump into the funding you've already done on the character. And yeah, I would say be okay with like dumping 200-300 mil onto a character, because as long as you use your snail pretty well and you loot whenever it's necessary, you can make most of that money, if not all of that money, back by the end of the level, if you go to level 200, and then you can just reinvest it into the next character. The thing is going to be like the 200 to 210 on the link skill characters. That's going to be rougher. So probably look towards whenever you have event buffs like the current one going on, like a little bit of extra EXP, a little bit of damage to normal monsters, and the Legion grid change, right, from the knockback to damage to normal monsters, that's going to help a lot as well.
Yep. Do I need a Mihail skill?
Well, you don't need it on your Adele, so that's cool.
Yeah,
and the change seems like it's going to be very, very niche use. Very much like, I don't know, it's like for 10 seconds or something, your status resistance goes up by 100 or something like that. On like a 2-minute or 3-minute cooldown, so it's like, maybe...
Bigger fish to fry, probably,
Yeah, it's going to be very low down the list for sure. So I don't think at this point you need it anymore. There might be some characters that are a little bit annoying for the next 3 weeks to train. They're going to get knocked around a little bit, but after that, it should be 100% passive for everyone. Hopefully for the non-KMS classes as well.
Who should I burn? Who should I burn at this point?
So with the Burninator or like the Terra Burn?
Both, I guess. Yeah.
What's a good?
Apply my Legion for the event. Yeah.
So you could do like there's some good level 3 links that's still available, right? Like the DA, the Mercedes,
Lumi. Yeah.
Lumi, yeah, those will be good at 210. So those, if any of those you think might be a bossing mule, you could use a Terra Burn on those. For the Terra Burninator. So you have 2 Terra Burns and 2 Terra Burninators, right? Probably use a Terra Burn. Like, how are you with the Shade? Do you like the Shade?
I like the Shade. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you could Terra Burn that one if you like it enough to train it. But there's like enough to train without funding, or like without Terra Burn. There's like enough to train with Terra Burn, and then there's like not like at all. Please use bonk potions, right? It's kind of like the 3 categories.
Actually, don't mind turning it into bossing mule later, just to experience the split mechanics and stuff. You know, I like Shade. Yeah.
So that would be like a potential for a Burninator then, or you could say like I'm going to use it on the Luminous or the DA and the Mercedes because they're already 140, and then for new characters, you have an Arc at 181. I don't know. Have you gone through the list of the link skills? Kind of like where
I follow it usually, right? For the most part. So.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a 0, right?
I do have a 0, but that's one of those things where
storyline. Yeah.
I just hate this because I can't sit myself down to watch a guide of how to do it properly, and I don't want to spend time mindlessly going to their mirror world dungeons and just crawling through it. Is there a fast way to do that one? Because I do have a 0.
I mean, you just like storyline in the beginning until you get to the end of chapter 2, and then you can just exit, and then you can just do regular training basically.
Oh, okay.
Until like 180 or something, and then usually you go back to finish up the storyline and to get like some free levels, and then you complete your link skill, and then you can also have the level 200 block, which is like it was like 10% EXP, so that's pretty big. Well, it's massive.
I think that's enough motivation to grit my teeth through the chapter.
Yeah.
To get out of that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's one you can't like burn anyway. Yeah, so you're missing the Kinesis, but yeah, Kinesis only needs to go up to 120 or 140 anyway, so it's not super important. Did you have the Jet? It was 200.
I have a Jet at 200. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Shade. Yeah, and the Hayata's at 200 already as well. Yeah. Are you missing any important classes? You got your crit, Lara, Hoyoung. Yeah, so the Mihal is kind of like Skipperoo, Blaster. Oh, have you with the like resistance? Do you have like the max level resistance skill?
Not max level, but enough. I think on level 5 right now.
Wild Hunter. Oh yeah. Wild Hunter and Blaster.
I was motivated enough to do that after getting dumpstered by Hard Magnus too many times.
Magnus will do that to you. Yeah, he'll be
enough
like,
is enough. Yeah.
You sure you don't want that skill, bro? Like maybe. I guess the Explore mages are.
Oh yeah, I guess with Destiny, I can play one of the mages. experience the new mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Bishop.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the patch notes clearly, but how's Bishop as a bossing mule potentially?
it's still mainly support, so I think they'll probably be. I think every character can be a bossing mule, but Bishop will probably still need more funding than rest because they're still set up to be a support, right? Same thing with the Shade. Like they can do the bosses most likely, but they're still set up to be more of a support, so they're just not going to do as much single player damage. So like Shade. Bishop and Zero, for example, like are always going to be kind of like in that group, and I think that's okay. Like right, that like they kind of should be because they do bring a lot to the table in support. I think Ice Lightning is probably going to be like a very very strong bossing mule with their kit.
Okay.
Fire Poison possibly, but so Ice Lightning is more DPS oriented, more burst oriented, and the Fire Poison more DPN oriented for like the longer boss fights and like the constant damage over longer period of time. So if you're there's going to be like some kind of parabolic equation, a graph kind of thing where at a certain level of funding the Ice Lightning might be like more effective than the Fire Poison, and then if you have more then the Fire Poison might be, but then it might shift again later, depending on how long you want the boss fights to be and how many bosses you're going to do in a row kind of thing.
Okay, so kind of neck and neck, right?
Yeah, I think they have their own.
Who's the better mobber? Who's the better mobber in your opinion?
I think Ice Lightning is getting an extra summon as well. I think Ice Lightning will probably always win out, but maybe very very early on Fire Poison might actually like beat it with that new Flame Wave skill. But it might depend on what map you're on, and I think Ice Lightning will eventually be able to go to like bigger, more spread out maps because they have more summons that they can put, and the Fire Poison summons are shorter duration, but you have bigger cycle in your big AoE skill 5th job kit. So I don't know. I would have to. I don't know.
I'll test both out, I guess. I already have an IL at 70, level 70, so I can. Do I need to remake it to get the full benefits of the event in Destiny?
Yeah, it would have to be a newly created character, yeah. But you can always, if you get to 100, right, for 4th job, you can also job change one. So if you're like, I want a Terror Burn and Ice Lightning, and you get this one to 100, and then you can job change it to Fire Poison.
Okay. Not a big deal. It's only level 70. I can just do a remake.
Yeah, or you can remake, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like you're, wasting hundreds of hours of time spent. Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah.
Again, at this point, that's a main. But if you're just only have 4 characters, or like deleting a character, what the fuck, Well, you don't want to delete this one, right? You want to make sure that
delete because the 54 character slots.
Yeah, exactly. Just new character slot. And once you have 40 characters that are high level, then you can start deleting and freeing up slots if you want to make like double bossing mules, for example. Yeah.
Do I need to touch the Ilium? That's a character I just hate. Do I need it for anything? I'm a strength main anyways, right?
For mobbing, I like the Link skill at level 2. Because you're always moving around, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's a constant 12% damage. And for some classes, at least the way they are now, like for example, depending on how you're moving, but like possibly the Cadena, but usually for the Dawn Warrior and the Nightwalkers, you're moving around a lot while you're fighting. And then those stacks up as well, and then it's a free 12% damage. But we've got the Cygnus changes coming in 2 weeks, right? The preview, so we don't know if they're going to stay exactly the same way and if it's going to stay the same playstyle. So we'll have to see for that.
Got it.
Yeah, I like the mobbing skill,
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I think so too.
Up to the list, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any topics to round out, I know we're kind of over time already. V Matrix we covered. Just dump some nodes into it for now. Everything 17 stars, so if I spend, I spend on Flaming the Pendant, and then do the transpose thing. Everything else, wait for Destiny. My Golic situation, just salvage some funds that I already spent, right? Get 4 set. No point in spending on flames for the other stuff, right? Because I think I have 80 flame score for.
No, I wouldn't. Not right now.
Oh, the other question is how much should I flame my Golics? What flame score should I settle for? 30,
I think
40.
Yeah, like 30, mid 30s or something is good to it's good to start off at, because again the main thing is going to be that you want to make sure that your flame advantage stuff is just so much more efficient to flame than the non-advantage stuff. So you want to probably get like 100 plus on the CRA and like 125 to 130 like arcane stuff before you even start considering going towards 40 or over 40 on the non-flame advantage stuff.
Okay.
Right, you can see like here in the late game stuff, like even if you're like 40, like mid 40s towards end of 40s, at that time you're going to be like around 105 on like the CRA stuff and cup, stuff like that. Or like close to 100 on a cup, 100 plus 100 on CRA, and then 125 at least on arcanes. These values. Yeah.
I might just skip the flaming for now. Do it after the Destiny Star Forcing, and then
usually, you know, you have like some stray cubes and you hit like a 3% all stat or a 4% all stat or something just by itself, and it's like, oh, that's good. Move on.
Oh, take a look at my Sweetwater tattoo. Just kind of sitting on it for a bit.
Sweetwater tattoo. Oh, that one seems to be missing as well.
Did I miss it?
Yep. The only items you want to talk about once we miss it.
Let me grab it real quick.
It's unique. I know that.
Oh, I think it's worth a discussion. It's one of those. Okay. Messaged over. So yeah, I got 3 lines on the unique.
Mm-hmm.
Up to 17 star. But with the new gear coming, should I even bother star forcing that one at all? So on one hand, I have a lot of backup dineros, like YOLO.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's kind of good enough as this.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be more pressure into... The most pressure is going to be into the CRA, but considering your backups, the second... So for you, like that, the first group is going to be CRA. The second group is probably going to be the Sweetwater stuff. The thing is, if you can get that new secondary, it's good, and that set bonus is good. But again, to get to quote unquote best in slot and get to end game with it, or late game, at least move through the late game and get to end game eventually, you're going to have to get it to high star, which means you're going to have to get backups for that stuff as well. Because now, if you break that, you lose the set bonus and you lose the stats on it. So there's a bigger potential loss. So I think for a lot of people, you're probably still going to have to get like a Sweetwater 2 to 21 just to be able to support when you get the drop, to just Star Force it up. And you basically treat it like a pitch boss drop where, you know, you have the 21 star accessory to rely on or to fall back on. And then if you get the drop, you try to, you know, you wait for an event, you try to Star Force it to 21. If it succeeds, then you switch over. If it doesn't succeed, you just sit in your trace and wait until you get another chance, basically.
Okay.
So I think it'd be fine to make more investment into the Sweetwater tattoo, yeah.
Okay. When should I touch the potential?
Like after CRA 21 probably.
Okay, so not for a long time.
No, not for a while. No.
Because I have 2 line minimum 20 stat, I think, on everything.
Yeah. No, this is. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, even like, because you're gonna even get, if you get a legendary and 2 lines and 23, I don't think that is even worth it. So you're gonna want to go higher than that. So you're looking for, when do you go for 2.5 lines, which is probably after you get this to 21 as well. You know.
Got it.
Or at least to 19, but probably to 21. Unless you get lucky on the other drops and you manage to tap one of those to 21, and then you completely skip this, but then you wouldn't have invested the money into this one, which means you get to spend more on the other one, on that potential and on that flame.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Flame my... Yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I covered my list. I'm just going through it again. Yeah, bosses, Golix, Sweetwater, secondary characters, Legion. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well,
right.
Who's IED? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that you keeping an eye on the IED, but the Golix set bonuses kind of come in, so then you'll have a lot of wiggle room.
Oh, I guess the other thing is, because I have so much boss on my gear, when's a good time to re-roll that?
Inner ability?
So, no, not inner. Like, for example, my Absol weapon has a lot of boss on it, but then once I get 4-set Golix, right, I get IED and I get boss. So, do I wait for Arcane and then just redo it there? Yeah.
Arcane or Superior set and 6k Legion and possibly a boss familiar? Whichever one of those 2 situations comes first, probably.
Okay.
But you have the side secondary, right? So you can just donkey roll on that one with like free Meisters and see if you get something cute. Then if you do, switch it over.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so upgrade priority looks like, yeah, save mesos until Destiny and then try and push CRA.
Yep.
Just, yep.
That's pretty much it, yeah, because of how much you play, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for helping the early stream,
Yeah.
morning
Yeah.
session. Yeah, big
no
fan
worries.
of your content. Without your commands and everything, when I first came back to the game after 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
The first time it was just completely different game. I wouldn't have been able to figure a lot of things out. So yeah.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the support.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, best of luck, and I'll see you around the chat.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye. All right. So a kind of similar situation in terms of how far upgraded they are as yesterday to Demon Slayer, but because you have a completely different budget and different resources and backups at your disposal, you tend to make the plans differently, right? You can't make as big as jumps, and certain upgrades, just because you can't reach quite there, might mean you have to go a completely different route to make sure that you take advantage of the investments you've already made, and to honor those investments, plus give yourself a higher chance of success to be able to reach those upgrades that will help you move forward. So hopefully the nuance between the session yesterday with the Demon Slayer and today shows that if you play on a different rhythm, different amount of time, and you have a different setup, even though you're moving in the same direction, you might make completely different steps. So hopefully that was illustrative for you guys, the difference between those two. As always, if you'd like to win one of these sessions, make sure you leave a comment with your Discord name, and I will hit you up, possibly if you win. We're coming up to the end of the month, and I will be drawing 2 winners at the end of this month, so make sure if you want to win, you do that. If you don't want to wait, make sure you check the description with instructions and information on how you can book one of these sessions one-on-one with me. And I think we're going to do another one tomorrow and another one a day after that. So we're actually starting to get booked up again because, summer is coming. And then it tends to bring the people back, and a lot of people wanted to get the one-on-one help. So, the faster you book, the faster you reach out, the faster we can get it scheduled. And if you like this video, I'm glad. If you need any of the commands, you can always check my Twitch chat. They're all in there available. I don't want to say for free, isn't to insinuate that they shouldn't be. That's just they're there, they're available at your disposal. You can just use exclamation mark and then whatever topic you need, or exclamation mark commands gives you a giant list with all of the possible commands. Some you will have to use in the chat, some will have direct links in that command, and you can use them from that. I think that's it for me for now today. So I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, or I'll see you live on twitch.tv/Scardor. I stream there every day. We will see you then. Bye. Boop.